Well, you haven't heard me before. I wanted to talk about a project I'm now involved in since a few months, and this talking about Kerstin. She said it doesn't depend whether I get the idea or someone gives it to me. You make the idea yours. Someone asked me, could you write a libretto for me on The Exorcist, which to many is a 70s horror film about a girl who is not so happy. And it is really a novel from which that book was made into a script by the same author, which is very practical, William Peter Blatty. And I said, oh my God, I haven't seen that film. It's not my thing. I mean, this is not me. The Exorcist is not me. And then I realized this is such a good idea. I made the idea mine. And I threw out the guy who gave me the idea, who wanted to compose it. Because I said, you haven't composed enough. Actually, he wanted to start composing by making an opera and this Exorcist. So I'm now in composer number 3, which I hope will stay. But I thought this is really a good opera. This is really a good subject for an opera. And as Kerstin and I also talked about, before the composer starts composing, the librettist is the king or the queen of the opera. We can have our imagination, we can forward the project any way we like, I mean, depending on how the situation is. But the situation is now for me rather free. So I'm imagining, I think I have found an opera house, very good one too. I have found a publisher almost, and I have found a composer, yes. And but it's also, I mean, and working in the theater, when you work for me as 30 years as designer, when you sort of have to coordinate the whole thing to get your set and your costumes and the whole thing on stage, you get a very good drive for whipping people, the cake in one hand and the whip in the other hand. And you can use this ability, and you can use this way, I use this way of imagining the opera. So I see it, I see some singers, I like when you see, if you do The Exorcist, you have to really think, who can play this girl? Can anyone play this girl? I mean, this is a kind of project with very, very strange, and no, now someone is starting to turn his head here. It is not, and it is something you believe. People think, oh my God, they see this film. Oh, why did I see it when I was 13? Or is it good, bad, horrible? It brings back memories. It brings them maybe to the ticket office, I am sure. I am sure people will go who would never see Saint-Saëns or Götterdämmerung or Fledermaus. Someone who talks with, does it sing? Yes, it sings. She talks with different voices. That is part of her madness. There is so much like oral stuff going on in this opera. And there is like mad scenes that can be reminiscent of Lucia di Lammermoor or the whole bel canto tradition of women, young women going mad, and then they can finally say what they shouldn't say. I mean, bad words, filthy language, screaming, being violent, horrible. I think that's interesting. The sort of bringing up a child situation, the question about church, should we believe in God? Does that help us? Should we bring in, that is very modern, should we always bring in experts to solve our problems? And how do we deal with mental strange things in the brain? Should that always be taken care of, or do we have to accept that you cannot explain everything? So I think this is a rather novel story set in the 70s. I thought this could be Victorian, could be like Dracula. But if it's normal...
10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. If it's normal, then the abnormal is not so strange. And I found the author. He's 85 and he's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
We can be like her.
Oh no, yes, exactly. Cedric Hagstedt. Yeah. Here you go.
Maybe Fredrik.
Fredrik, yeah.
Yes, a strange name, I know. Well, I'm absolutely not prepared for this. It's just random. I take something I wrote. I think this is really nice for me to be in this situation. I'm a composer, but absolutely not an opera composer yet. But for 4 years, I think I have had a dream of writing an opera and had many ideas and started writing a libretto because I've written poetry and used in my music before, so it's not strange for me to use my own text. I think of practical reasons it should be a chamber opera. I think because I mostly write chamber music because it's so horribly hard to get an orchestra to play your music. See what I am. 10,000 hours, yeah. 10,000 hours of opera composing. I don't think I ever will be that genius. However, should you take your idea from yourself? Maybe not. Maybe someone, some librettist can help me out of my prison and.
You're searching for a librettist?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Because I think my idea is maybe a bit good, but not maybe the real good thing.
Maybe you will find the partner in the middle.
Yeah, I hope so. I can tell about this libretto. I thought it was finished. And then I come up with the idea to challenge my own text and search up the Operasymposium, opera improvisation group. And for 2 months ago, they made a reading of the libretto and sang most of it. And what just come up and after that I could really totally rewrite it, and I think I will continue do like that. For you who don't understand Swedish, you can be happy because I will read some lines from it. It's Henrik and Erik. Henrik. Hej Erik. Erik. Hej. Henrik. Det är många galna konstnärer i farten. Visserligen inte så många som gör musikdramatik, så det är ju spännande. Fast ärligt talat, trots dessa anspråk på att vara djupt, det är ju mest banaliteter. Jag dör, jag är redan död. Ve och fasa. Erik, det enkla bär oftast på visdom. Det är allt annat än banalt. Banaliteten beror på mottagaren. Henrik, men för vem skapar du? Du kan väl inte tro att detta är sofistikerat? Erik. Nej, detta är i gränslandet. Varken eller både och. Vem som helst och ingen är välkommen. In och ut här och där. Det är upp till var och en att förstå eller inte. Och kanske komma igenom in och ut på samma eller motsatta sidan. And like that. So maybe that maybe can be something, but that could also be something else. And I spoke about chamber opera, and I'm also interested in the mixing of composition and improvisation, because I think singers who are good at improvise can make fantastic things from both from text and from spin around it.
I think we're pretty done. Huh.
Thank you.
Great. I see the time is a little bit limited now. If there is not like a huge objection, maybe because I hear that some of the people going in the 5-minute madness are sort of repeating themselves after 3 minutes. So I'm gonna make an adjustment. We take a 3-minute madness. It's really enough, right? Okay. Next up is.
Starting from now, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah. No repetition. When I detect repetition, it's game over.
Well, I have a slight comment on the topic, which is what is a good libretto. I was going to reply before the coffee, but I noticed that there were several hanging with their heads, so I'm putting that now. I had some workshops in the Opera på Skäret last year, and I had several good students, which I gave in task to write a short opera scene. And what should they have a text? They were really anxious about that. And I said, just take a shopping list. You know, a shopping list which you go to the grocery, and configure it with music. What is beneath the emotion of the people, of the woman or man who's going to do this shopping list? Maybe he hasn't have any money left. He's still hungry. That is what you are going to express in music. That is musical context of a simple text. So if you're a composer, you can use almost everything as a text, just to bring it in the musical configuration. Thank you.
Oh, okay, that was really 1-minute madness. Thank you. Great. Ragnar Fagerlund. Fagerlund.
Jag ska inte tala. Jag har blivit utsatt. Jaha, du ska ta den nu.
Nej, vad?
Hallå! Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me now? Yes. Can you hear me now? Yes. So why are we using all these microphones? We have voices to speak with. Now I know you have the television, but it's generally always we have the microphone. And that's take away the natural voice that we have. It takes away the small valors of our sound in the voice. What do I want to say? Hello. What have we for colors? What have the opera singer for colors when he is doing an aria? He has these small valors that is a joy for an opera singer to do. And with microphone, it will get lost. We can get some other songs, but these small valors will get lost. I was at a concert, a room like this, and it was a big grand piano, Chopin. And what did they do? They put on microphones. They disturbed all the fine valors in the grand piano. So why are we using microphones here? We don't need that. And it's another subject too, and it's the ear. We are training our ears when we are doing the music. Why? And that is perhaps one of the most important things when you are a conductor or a composer, to train the ear. Because that's where you get the message back. Because, sorry, I have not the ear is important. And let me stop with another thing. We are so important. We are musicians. For 10 years, I have been in the companies to learn how they are thinking. I have learned a lot about economy, how they are communication. But I have learned we are needed. We have so much skills, the composers, the singers, and we are needed. We can be proud, think of what we can be paid. Much
There we got the point. Okay. Yep. I'm going to stick to the microphone for our dear viewers at home. We have one person left in the 5-minute madness. Augustine? Yeah? Microphone, yeah. Please.
I take the microphone. You hear me?
Nobody in the internet heard you.
Nobody. So I want to be heard on the internet. The first thing I want to ask Annalise, could you give me your card? Because I'm not sure you will give it me afterwards when I do my confession. The first thing is, I have never been to an opera. I'm grown up in Austria, in Vienna. In my 20 years, you see. Thank you, I still have it. I will visit you. In my 20 years in Austria, I never went to the Royal Opera.
In Austria?
Austria, yeah. And 45 years in Sweden, I never went to opera. But I'm a playwright, and I get interested in these opera things. Before I became a playwright, I was a psychotherapist. And I was working more with stories than with the analytical tolkning, you know. I never did this. Because, yeah, I guess a story tells much more than you say, your father this and this is crap. I'm trained analytical, but I use stories. And when I start writing for big companies. And even there, I always told them stories. So let me tell you a story. My impression of... I see a big Norwegian or a Scandinavian wood, dark and big. But on this wood, there is a glenta, opening. And on the opening, there is a charcoal miner, you know, and you're making charcoal.
Yeah.
And you know, you make charcoal by making a big pile of wood, and then you put fire in it. And then you put a lot of earth on it, so it doesn't burn too quickly. And if it's too much, then it will go down. If you put too little, it was getting fire. So charcoal miner is always watching the fire that is not getting too big and not too small. On this opening, there is a charcoal miner, maybe my age, with a little daughter, 8 years. And on this certain morning, they wake up, they're hearing a sound like drums, like war drums. Tudum, 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 tudum. You can help me with this? Tudum, 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 tudum. Continue. And they wonder what's happening. Continue with it. Yeah? Tudum, tudum, tudum. And this they are getting louder, crescendo. And there are 3 soldiers in full rustning with a mask of iron in front of this. And one of them, who is looking the most grim och most fierce and violent, he is humming, I'm a poor little soldier, I'm surfing the power. I'm a poor little soldier, I'm surfing the power. This is how I get my money. It's just poor little. But when he then comes to the opening and sees the charcoal miner, this girl, he says, I'm a very proud and brave soldier. I love to serve the power. I'm come to rob you, child. The father is immediately in front of his child and thinking, over my dead body. But the child, she says, Papa, don't do this. They're waiting to kill you. I can follow them. Maybe this isn't a good idea. And there's some meaning in this. And to the soldier, he says, hello, guy, you. I follow with you, but just let me go down to the becken, or to the river, and fetch something with me. I want to have something with me from home. And the soldier said, this is a very good idea. And she comes back with a very big stone. The soldier takes a sack, puts the stone in the sack, puts the children in the sack, puts it on his neck, and riding away. And he is heading towards the big castle, where a fairy king and a fairy queen is living and reigning this country, because this country is called the Happy Country. And when he comes to the castle, he's going on the bridge over the water. He's taking the sack with the children and the stone, and he's calling up, hello, you, please chuck down a sack of gold. Here in this sack I have a girl and a stone, and if you don't give me a sack of gold, I will drown her like a cat. And of some reason, not unexplainable, but some reason, there was a sack of gold. They threw it down, he changed it right away, and this was the way the little girl from the poor charcoal miner came to the castle of the king, of the fairy king and the fairy queen in the Happy Country. And this story will go on forever. The story never ends. The party never ends. The road never ends. Thank you.